Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of the Prequel at the End of the Book, a new podcast following the Winchesters, which is the prequel TV show to Supernatural. I'm Rachel, one of your hosts, and I'll let the other hosts introduce themselves as well.
I'm Jen.
I'm Lydia.
And I think all three of us have fairly different experiences with fandom and how we got into Supernatural fandom. For me, I started watching in the summer of 2011. I literally remember seeing trailers for The Man Who Would Be King on the CW before I started watching the show and was like, ooh, that looks cool. And then a friend of mine lent me his DVDs for me to watch the show. So I did. I binged it all very quickly and started watching live, sort of. I was in college, used various websites to watch it, and was in fandom and Destiel fandom for a couple years while watching the show at that time, like season 7 through like the beginning of season 10. And I fell behind, and then I heard Charlie died, and I was like, well, I'm not catching up now. And then November 5th, 2020 happened, and I immediately fell back into the show, binged seasons 4, 5, and 15 to watch the finale live, which was a mistake. And then I was like, well, I'm here already. May as well watch the rest, and binged season 6 through most of 15 again in like a month. And here I am. So that's my journey with fandom and with Destiel. Jen, what about you? What was your experience like?
So the first 2 times someone tried to get me to watch Supernatural failed. I was recommended to watch it around the time the season 6 finale was about to happen, and so I was like, okay, I'll watch it. I don't recommend watching a random finale episode when you have no context as to what's happening, because I was a very confused person watching that. And then I had a roommate a couple years later who tried getting me and another roommate to watch it, but we were in the middle of a semester. It was really busy, and I'm pretty sure we all had ADHD. Well, I know I had ADHD, and I just couldn't pay attention. I had no idea what was going on. But then the summer of 2013, so between seasons 8 and 9, I was really into the Glee and Glee fandom, and that was when Corey Monteith passed away, and I couldn't watch Glee anymore, and I was like desperate for another show to talk about and to like be a fan of and stuff and not feel sad about all the time. And I remembered my roommate's reaction. I heard her crying, I think, through my bedroom door during the season 8 finale. I had no idea what was happening. And then I remembered seeing a gift set of Cass looking up into the sky for the season 8 finale, and all the angels were falling. And I was like, all right, you know what? That's it. I'm just going to watch it. I had the apartment to myself all summer, so I used my roommate's Netflix, and I watched all of it within a few weeks that I had at the time. And then I had I think used the CW's website for season 8 or something. I forgot what it was, but yeah, so third time was the charm for me.
Nice.
For me, I think I tried to watch it when it first came to Netflix in like 2012. And I got to Bugs, and I was like, this is the most boring shit I've ever watched in my life. Not for me. I was 12, though, so that probably played a part in my attention span. And then my fiance at the time, actually, in like 2020, he was like, hey, have you heard of Supernatural? And I know he was watching it. I remember him watching like the season 14 finale live. So it was around that time. And I was like, I mean, I think I tried to watch it like whatever in 2012, but just didn't stick with me. So he made me watch it. And I'm telling y'all, literally up until season like 8, I was like, this is the most boring thing I've ever watched. I hated it. I hated him for making me watch it. It was so boring. It just did not stick with me. I'm not an analytical person at all. So it was just like, okay, they're hot dudes who hunt monsters. Great. And then I think I took like a 6-month break between watching season 8 and season 9 because it was just my whole brain was filled with Supernatural, and I was like, I need to watch something else. And I came back, we watched season 9, and Demon Dean is really what got me in season 10. That's when I was like, oh fuck, like I'm really in it now, because I remember I started like looking up fan fiction on like Tumblr, and I was like, this is what I did when I was in the One Direction fandom. Like, this is turning bad. Like, this is so yeah. That's when I joined Tumblr and I joined the fandom, and then the only episodes I've seen live were the last 7 after the COVID hiatus. So I did get to watch 1520 live, and that, I don't think, not even my wedding day could probably compare to the emotions and the high that I felt that night. But yeah, that's how. Now I'm here.
God, yeah, the finale was actually the very first and the only episode of Supernatural that I actually legitimately watched live while it was airing.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, now that you know a little bit about us, just to kind of let you know what this show is going to be like. Obviously, the main attraction here is going to be following the Winchesters when it starts airing in October. Our plan is a live react channel on YouTube, and then our in-depth, more like analysis type podcast the same week that the episodes air, which I'm really excited for. I think we're all really excited for it. But, which I don't know if you can tell or not, but we're all beginner podcasters. We are doing a little bit of a preseason to sort of warm ourselves up and get into podcast mode, in which we'll be watching all the John and Mary related episodes of Supernatural and kind of doing like a deep dive, using the stuff in those episodes to like talk about what we might see on the Winchesters. And I think it's going to be really fun. Hopefully you guys as listeners enjoy it. But yeah, that's the plan for the show. We're really excited about it. So, and as a lot of people probably know, Robbie Thompson, who was a writer on Supernatural, was tapped to be the showrunner, like head writer on the Winchesters. And so we kind of thought it would be fun to go around the circle of hosts and share our favorite Robbie episode, maybe why it's our favorite episode, and then also maybe a prediction for what might happen in the pilot of the Winchesters. I don't know who wants to start us off, but somebody can go ahead and take it.
You don't want to start, Rachel?
I can start. It's so hard to pick a favorite Robbie episode, but I think I would have to go with Baby, just because I think it's a technically perfect episode of television in general and not just Supernatural. I mean, I think a lot of his episodes are like that, but Baby especially, I just think it's one of the best episodes the show ever did. I love that they played with, perspective, with, the car being the storyteller. I loved the Night Moves needle drop. I don't know who doesn't. Werepires is pretty iconic. So yeah, that's my favorite Robbie episode. As far as predictions for the pilot go, one of my favorite shows is The Good Place, and I really like Timeline.
I love The Good Place.
Right? And I really like Timeline, or like, environment sort of like shenanigans, and you never really know for sure what story is being told or where you are in the story. I like playing with like narrative like that, when shows play with narrative like that. So I think a prediction, or maybe just something that I would like to see in the pilot, is signs that maybe not all is as it seems in this prequel show with John and Mary. So yeah. Who wants
Jen,
to?
you go ahead.
I guess I'll go. This seems to be the order we're going in. I think my favorite Robbie episode, and it's hard because there's so many, because, I mean, there's a reason why he's so iconic in the fandom. I think my favorite one is a very early one of his, which is Time After Time. It's because it was a kind of like a Monster of the Week episode. Some folks may not remember, and it's essentially when Dean gets accidentally teleported back to like the 1930s or whenever it was, and meets Elliot Ness and all of that, and he has to try and figure out how to get back home. I like time traveling episodes a lot. One of my favorite season 6 episodes was when they went back in time to the Old West. So I liked it a lot. I don't know why. Like, it's hard to explain why. I think between the writing and the acting, it really was just like a really fun Monster of the Week episode. And I like a large majority of them. But this one always stuck in my brain for some reason. And I think just like the snappy dialogue and the pacing, I just really liked it a lot. As for predictions, boy, do I got predictions. I feel like all we do is talk about predictions.
I mean, it's what we can do right now, right?
Yeah, it's, half of me thinks it's going to be like a standard storytelling kind of thing, but then, I look at the list of Robbie's episodes and he's always been given the unconventional storytelling ones. Mm-hmm. And that combined with what's being said, kind of like twists and giving it to us in a way we don't expect and everything, I truly feel like, you know what? I'll do a hard prediction. There we go. I'll do like a set in stone one. That is, I wonder if this John and Mary are going to see the older versions of themselves at some point, like going forward in time. I don't know how they'll do that. I don't know which older ones of them that they're gonna see. I imagine it'll be hard to get Jeffrey Dean Morgan on a CW show again, but you don't really need to. You can maybe just repurpose old footage. So yeah, I'll make a like an actual like straight up story prediction. I do wonder if they will go forward in time and see their older selves at any point. I think that'd be intriguing.
Okay. So if I'm being totally honest, I had to go look at a list of episodes that Robbie wrote before we started recording this, because I am probably one of the rare few who has only watched this show once all the way through. So my like, I couldn't tell you the eras or anything like that. I'm working on it, I promise. But looking at that list of episodes, I only fully remember 2, which is Fanfiction and Baby. And those are episodes that I have seen more than once. And I am having a really hard time right now deciding between the 2. But I think I'm going to have to go with Fanfiction, first of all, not to copy Rachel's answer, but also Baby is up there. But yeah, no, Fanfiction, I think that was one of the first episodes that I don't know. I guess like it was one of the ones that really stuck with me, where it's like I can recite every line and I know every song, and and it was like, I guess since I'm not an analytical person, it was like the first one where I actually was like looking deeper into it. I'm like, oh whoa, like they're breaking a wall here. Like this is wild. I don't watch a lot of TV, if that's not clear. But yeah, I really love fanfiction, and I really love how it's because I was so new to the fandom, and it kind of feels like, oh, everything that happens like in the fandom is like the fandom's little secret, but then when you see them bring it onto the screen, it's like, oh shit, like no, they know. So yeah, and then predictions for the Winchesters. I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't know. I all I can say, I just rewatched like all the John and Mary episodes, and as I was watching them, I was like, I have absolutely no clue how they're gonna tie this in smoothly. Like, I trust them to do it. I trust Jensen and Daniil and Robbie. I do, but I was like, I'm gonna be very interested to see how. So I'm curious to see how they're gonna do it. I will say I hope they're not cast baiting us with that trailer of the 0.5 seconds of the barn scene.
Because the trailer came out twice with that shot now, I'm more like convinced something's happening.
Yeah, like something. I mean, like I don't know. I know that Kim at I think it was at Dallas Con, she was talking about like how her ending would have been, and she was saying like, oh, I wanted them to like zoom out and it be like Sam and Dean, like young cool. Sam and Dean, like playing with like toys that were like the characters, and then you zoom out of their house and it's Cass sitting in a tree.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't
Why
know.
is he in a tree?
You're gonna ask him. I don't know. But I was like, maybe they'll do something like that where like Cass has just been there all along. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. I'm excited to see where they're headed.
Like so many of his episodes on the show play with like different perspectives or like an unreliable narrator or something like that. And I think we're definitely going to see a lot of that in the show.
Yeah, he really has a lot of unconventional episodes. There's really only a handful that are like conventionally told, like Goodbye Stranger and all that. I feel like Goodbye Stranger is one of the most quote unquote heavily sarcastically saying this normal episodes. But if he's not playing with perspective, then he's playing with just like the little details to put into one of the episodes. So
yeah. I'm also, for some reason, sorry to extend this conversation, but I love his first episode, Slash Fiction. Like, he came in and nailed every single character in one episode. And I just have always been really impressed by that and, like, really respect that about him as a writer because he clearly does his research. So, yeah. I know.
The conversation at the diner counter was just
fantastic. So good. Yeah, so we're really excited, clearly, to go on this Winchesters journey with you guys.
This has been the Prequel at the End of the Book podcast with Rachel, Jen, and Lyd. You can find us at Twitter and Instagram at End of the Book Pod, Tumblr at End of the Book Podcast, and YouTube at Prequel at the End of the Book. You can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Until next time.